All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Dawn, right before NATS, right after NATS. Good stuff. Today, I'm joined by Grayson,
What's up, guys?
JP,
What's up?
and a new member of the team, Richie,
What's up?
one of the Vegas boys. I mean, do you talk to Josh a lot, actually, at locals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever I see him, but we're always testing.
That's good stuff. So, I think we only have a couple more members of the testing team left that haven't been on the podcast, so we'll get through them eventually, So, today we figured that we would look at our tier list from before EU NATS, kind of predicting the 7.5 beta, and see how it kind of compared to the EU results. And probably NA NATS is going to be very similar. So, if we look at it, I guess like the outliers in our tier list is definitely that Reiju definitely underperformed. How many Reijus made day 2? Was it like 2?
Yeah,
I think it was
two.
2 or 1, yeah. And I think they both lost first round of top 32.
Yeah.
one made top 8, I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
one made top 8.
Yeah.
One made top 8. The other one, not too sure.
Yeah.
I guess 7th, okay.
Okay, yeah. So very interesting that honestly, I guess in like afterwards, like testing it more, the deck was significantly weaker than what a lot of us thought it was, and I guess it's no surprise after the testing, but it's definitely like a surprise from back then, right? That it would kind of perform relatively poorly, I think.
Right.
Especially because I think in the stats, Reiju was the 3rd most played deck or the 4th, like right behind BY, I think. No,
Pretty
because
sure
I think the
It was fourth.
it was 4th, yeah.
Yeah.
Because what was the 5th most played deck?
NL.
NL.
Yeah.
So like the top 5 most played decks was Lucci, Bonnie, BY, Reiju, NL.
Yeah.
And only one NL made top cut, which putting in A tier, making one deck go into top cut when in this field, I think was actually relatively correct. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
top 32.
I mean, I don't think I'd expect it to go any better than that, because like you do have to rely on like life a lot of the time, to the point where it makes it too inconsistent to be better than A lot of the time.
Yeah. And let's see, any other decks? Moria, I think was also like fairly correct. Like only one Moria made day 2, and Dofi,
Honestly,
same thing.
yeah. I think if anything, we put Moria too highly almost. I think it's like lower on the A tier, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember when we did this if it was ordered or not, actually. But
It might
yeah,
not
like
have been.
I don't
Its
think it
win
was.
rate was very. Its win rate was very like disappointing for like how even I expected its matchup spread to be.
Boa and Dofi. I mean, Boa definitely underperformed, right? Not a single one made day 2. I mean, I guess not underperformed, but like it performed pretty badly, like as kind of expected, right? And then
There's-
Dofi made day 2. Sorry, go ahead, Richie.
I was just gonna say, I don't think there's ever like a really good world for Boa to make day 2, just because like Lucci's the most represented deck. So if you assume that you're gonna see at least like 2 to 3 Luccis in the tournament, then playing Boa is like not very ideal.
It also looks like Boa was like less than 16 copies present, whereas
Mhm.
Dofi had like 65 copies. So I mean that's tough. That's
Right.
tough to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. RP Luffy had only 13, and I think their best representative went X4.
Tragic.
Yeah. So that was pretty bad call. I think maybe one key miss that we had was not looking at Kata, right? And putting it on the list at all. Like it was definitely solidly like here in this A tier, it outperformed the L, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it makes sense. It's just a strong deck. Like you're essentially getting like an extra card every turn you have a Dawn on, because it's 7 instead of 6. So it's like,
Mhm.
and then plus you have your moms and then triggers. Yeah, it's just a strong deck, and if you're not prepared for it, like no one really is right now, it's just tough to deal with,
Mhm.
honestly.
You think going to NA Nats, seeing that
Yeah.
Kata outperformed NL, we'll see more Kata than NL?
I don't know how.
I mean,
close
they
the numbers
both-
now.
They both saw such a low rep. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like the NL number shifted down slightly and Kata shifted up a little bit, but it's just like I don't know.
Mhm.
I think Kata's biggest strength is just like kind of like how Whitebeard was in like 05 or 06 whenever people started to play it again, and it did well at a couple events where it's just like we're getting to a point where people don't know how to play against the deck and didn't have to play to it when it was like at full power, so they can kind of just surprise factor wins as well, like early match or like early like rounds.
Mhm.
And there's also
Yeah.
Miss Gecko players too, which was like a miserable matchup for Katakuri. And it has like actually like a decent matchup into like Lucci and like and Bonnie and things like that. Like it's not awful into Bonnie. I don't think it's as bad as people think it is. And then Lucci, it's actually fairly good. So I don't know. Better call than it was in 06, I think, or maybe EB.
I think a BY matchup is just too bad for me to ever want to take it.
Yeah, it's pretty miserable.
Definitely sounds terrible, but I think just getting its worst matchup RP out of the picture definitely, and especially after a ban list, I think people always kind of just like default to yellow. And Katakuri is probably like the best one to default to over NL, just because NL's matchup spread is just not really so good right now.
Yeah, I think everything. So I think there's the rest of the list. Everything in potential definitely didn't pan out. Not there were anybody. Yeah, I don't think a single person. Yeah, right. Top day 2. Yeah, and then Bonnie BY, still good. I think maybe the key thing is if you look at the stats, that Bonnie in general performed very, very poorly, much more poorly in this post ban list format than it did pre ban list against Lucci. Like the win rate was like 30% from day 1 Bonnie versus Lucci, which is like, I don't know. If you had played the deck before, I feel like this is kind of like pretty foreseeable that Ice Age would be worse than Stage as like a slot for in the Lucci deck for Bonnie, but like, yeah, like Bonnie's matchup spread definitely got very polarizing. And I think maybe another interesting thing was like the Bonnie win rate versus BY on day 1. I think it was also only like 60%, which like you would have hoped that if you were gonna take the deck, it'd be like 70, right?
Yeah, then I think like Lucci also upping their eShow copies, just like overall, I think makes it rougher because like everyone's just playing more, and then everyone's playing Finger Pistol now. So like yeah, like Lucci probably just is probably like close to 70-30 now almost with how much like just bad cards they have for your matchup.
Yeah. And then one other miss that we definitely had, I mean, it's not a miss, but like one surprise was definitely this Black Luffy deck, right? That the Italians brought is the Italian team, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, I didn't have a lot of experience with it. I just kind of looked at it and said like the leader effect was kind of like unimpressive for what it was. But I mean, they cooked something. It was pretty good. I mean, let's take a look at the list. Let's see. The highest placing one was 10th.
Yeah.
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 Oh, oops.
I think the like thing I noticed because I had a local who was also playing this was like I noticed the stage was really good, but I just didn't think like it had the ability to like compete with Lucci. Was my fear. Was like no matter how much like bigger you made your bodies, Lucci could always still just like kind of run through you. But yeah, I think I undervalue just like how good like 9 cost Zoro, 5 cost Kuzan could be off like a value turn.
Yeah, no, the +1 is actually massive because like the way Lucci was designed, it was like Sakazuki essentially, to where they can get 8-4 fairly easily with like Ice Age effect Helmeppo, whereas being a 9-5, that means you need Ice Age Eruption plus Perfect Trash to clear stuff, which is not trivial to have at all times.
I will also say, like, playing against the deck, there are just like certain scenarios where you're just like not used to them playing. Essentially, like, if you have Stage and a Dawn on leader for Luffy on 7 Dawn, and you play like the Nico Robin, then she's an 8 cost, and then on 8 Dawn you can't remove an 8 cost with just Gecko Moria.
Yeah, I think maybe just like, so the win rate on the deck and like the conversion on the deck was like really, really high, right? Because like nobody in that day 1, nobody knew really what it was supposed to be doing. But like I think if you look at the stats, I thought it was really interesting that right now people are talking about it as if it's a Lucci counter, and maybe it is. But like if you look at what they played in day 1 and their win rates versus every deck, they played against Lucci the most and had a 50% win rate. But like, and then against everything else that like kind of was like meta relevant, which is like Bonnie, BY, they had a positive win rate against like 80% or something, right? So I think like I'm mostly just like purely interested in like what the actual matchup spread should be, but like the discussion just doesn't really support the stats. But I mean, it's only one tournament. I don't know if you guys have tested it against it much in these last couple of days since we've seen the deck.
Yeah,
personally, I haven't.
I tested a lot against Lucci last night, and the only games I lost were where Lucci found 3+ geckos. I mean, truthfully. Like it's. I don't think it's a Lucci counter, so to speak, because like you still need to draw your pieces and whatnot. But like Gecko wasn't a Lucci counter either, and Gecko relied on you seeing like Bourse into double 3 into Gecko value Gecko, and then hopefully they don't clear shit. So I mean, I think it's better at it than Gecko is. So it's just kind of like a better Gecko. So it goes like from 45-55 to like 50-50ish on that, and then better spreads into Bonnie and BY is the way I look at it.
Yeah, just to get some much Richie since the weekend.
I think like playing against it, just because I know that like a lot of people at my locals have just been kind of like testing it out. I do kind of agree that it's similar to Gecko, but it's also just like you don't mill your geckos versus Lucci. So and then you're just playing like the stage to cycle through Kuzans and Sabos. So I think it's pretty likely that you see more geckos than Lucci, and that's usually where you come out ahead. Is where like you're playing value geckos, drawing 2 cards, kind of like widening the advantage gap, and then eventually like if they've only got 1 or 2 geckos and they can't really clear your board, and then from there you kind of just take over.
Any thoughts on that, Grayson?
I think not as much as like the deck is obviously good, but I think a big part of its win rates this weekend was also like not only like was it good deck list, it was also like just like a lot of like EU's like better players were on it. And I think it was just a lot. I think it was like a good combination of like surprise factor plus like good pilot, good deck. So like I think its win rate won't be as high as NA or at NA, just because like even if people are picking it up, I don't think a lot of like the top players are gonna pivot to the deck. So I could see it being like it kind of underperforms compared to EU, but like they also had like just like a lot of like very high skill pilots playing the deck, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I think
And, like,
I think
its win
definitely
rate,
like
'cause it's such a small pool.
yeah, I think definitely like the big thing is like it has like the best BY matchup of the mono black decks, right? So I don't think it's like particularly even winning. I feel like their win rate against BY was kind of like a little bit of an like just abuse of like unfamiliar matchups. Like I heard that 2 of the Italian guys played against 2 different BYs that both tried to Rocket Luffy, one of like a 5-cost Rebecca. So it's like,
Right.
I don't know. Like if you remove those misplays, do as many of them make day 2? I don't know.
Well, even
It's
if
like
they
it's up in
are-
the air, right?
If they are like rocketing to Rebecca, I mean, sure they didn't kill the Rebecca, but they weren't killing it anyways. So it's like they're making the misplay, but it's not like that would have changed like if they let the Rocket Luffy sit there for a turn, if that makes sense. Like,
But I mean,
Rebecca
if
still
they
gains value.
I mean,
you have to
the
think about
thing
it
is,
as like the Rocket Luffy could have been a Fist Luffy instead. It could have stayed on board, swung once, and they would have landed an extra card, right? There's a lot that goes into like, oh, like you lost a Rocket Luffy on board, you lost board presence as well, right?
It's also just like it makes
Like, I
math
think
a
my
little bit more awkward for people when like you put a Dawn on your leader and then there's a +1 to your whole board, but you don't see that. You have to think of it like mentally, and then that could kind of mess up with your numbers. And then you play out your turn, and you realize, oh no, like I didn't actually have enough minus, and then you kind of clear this thing on the board.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that like their win rate against BY would probably be much lower if like those players didn't make those mistakes, right? And it's also like nothing against the Italian players, right? Like they obviously are good players, but there's 5 of them made day 2, right? Like playing the same 50 or something like that. So like there's something there for sure. I'm just saying but it's definitely like a lot of the surprise factor or like unfamiliarity probably got them edges they shouldn't have.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's like playing a road deck at a major tournament. And like Gavin got his top 32 because his like last round the guy thought he was playing our Red Purple Law, and then found out a little too late that he was playing his Red Purple Luffy.
Yeah, happens. So I guess like also in the aftermath of NATS, where so the best place in Luffy was 10th, right? Is what we were saying.
Multiple teams.
Yeah. A lot of them, or some of them were tweeting that like they did kind of regret the Straw Hat package in the deck, and would rather see it as a Navy package. Curious to your guys' thoughts on that. I mean, I guess like on paper it sounds right. Like you just don't want to rely on stage or seeing stage or something, but like I don't know. The deck seems good as is.
I
But
tested it the night that like the list dropped. And I used this, and it just didn't. It felt clunky. It felt like you were like trying to find stage, like you were trying to play Robin in places you probably shouldn't. And then you just go like a full Navy package, and your goal is just to like essentially draw cards and develop bodies. It felt way more fluid, I guess. Like so, like drop Robin, drop stage, and then add other things like a fourth Kuzan. I think Borsalino's a little bit fake. I think Pistol actually has a really good spot in the list because it feels trash, but there's other considerations like that.
I don't think you have the reduction to enable Pistol to do as much crazy stuff. I was actually thinking if you were going to pivot this list at all, you would just play Tempest Kick, honestly. Or like another like reducer piece possibly to enable some like different combos.
I guess I don't.
But yeah,
get
I
the
don't think
Tempest piece of that because you never have trash, so you're just like drawing cards. So you might as well just use like the reverse Great Eruption, I guess.
I think I like reverse Great Eruption.
Oh yeah,
It kind of like it also sets your
Yeah,
opponent
cards
back
are
when you're
really
playing
good.
like black. But worst case in any other matchup is just cycle one.
But in terms of reduction,
Your cards
like,
what? Draw 1+3.
Yeah, draw 1+3 to something on your board. But like with 10 Dawn, put a Dawn on your leader plus the event plus a Gecko, and then I don't know, you can make like your Gecko 11 or like your Kuzan up.
Yeah.
say Gecko 9, Kuzan 8 is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty strong.
Oh,
Also
is it your
probably
whole
draw three.
board?
No, so you give one thing +3, but if you want to put a Dawn on leader, play out your Gecko Kuzan brand new, and then you just do Kuzan brand new, and then draw another card with the event and make
Right.
Kuzan 8, then they're not getting removed without double Ice Age.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm
Yeah,
curious to
sure.
see if the list develops more at NATS. But there's not a lot of time.
He's the way.
Yeah. In terms of Pistol, though, I will say, like, generally you're playing Brook, like, on curve against, like, Bonnie or something. And so you just swing with Brook, and then you pistol the Hawkins, and it goes away. And it's like, it's not nothing, is my opinion of it. And then for any Ice Ages, that KO's a 10. So does Sanji. So it's kind of just making that a little more viable, and then also filling your trash, which this deck does struggle with, unless you draw your brand news and Sabos.
Okay. Let's see. Anything else that stands out from Lucci lists? There's a lot of them. I think my main takeaway from like a lot of the Lucci lists was that a lot of people just kind of took whatever the fuck they wanted. I'm gonna be honest. Like every list was like very slightly different. Everybody had differences in opinion. I think maybe like the key points from the list I saw in the entirety top 32 was like majority did not like Nightmare Luffy, but the highest placing list took Nightmare Luffy, and everything else was everywhere. Like people were on like 0 copies of Pistol, 1 copy, 2 copy. Some went to 8 2Ks, and then there's the American players like Sammy and Nikki who went to like 6, 7 2Ks. So it's like
6 2Ks and a hero drop event.
I think
Their list
it's
goes the
worth-
craziest to me, where I'm just like, everyone else kind of was like, yeah, I'll play some more counter and like just play a few more like removal pieces for BY, and they're like, nah, we don't want counter anymore.
2K's bad cards.
it's an
Basically.
interesting choice for sure. I mean, I respect it. Like,
I think this is the best list to play against BY, I will say. I feel like they have, like, this guy has, like, put the most spite into his build with, like, triple Isho and, like, Nightmare Luffy at 2 and 3 Brook.
yeah,
But, like, the fact that he still just lost 2-0, or should have lost 2-0, but I mean, the guy through game 2, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
So, it's like, but even then, it's like none of the games were close. And it was just, like, BY was so favored still. I'm like, it almost makes me feel like, are you even, like, is it needed to tech at this point?
yeah.
Or do you just kind of say screw BY matchup? And like,
Well,
just play your.
That's okay.
I would just like, I don't know. I feel like there's like maybe you like want to improve the mirror or something over like teching for BY almost.
Which
And
is
see if
kind of
you
like
can
the
get
idea
Edu
of
up.
like of
think
the
it's
American
what-
players list,
yeah,
right?
with
Like if we get
Kuzans.
to like Chris,
Yeah.
they're on like the 4 Kuzans, and like from what I hear, like the Kuzans are just good in the mirror, right? But I mean, Richie, you're playing Lucci. Do you have any feelings about it?
I mean, I think there's nothing you can control in the mirror. If like your opponent just draws more geckos than you, then that's obviously out of your control. But I do think Kuzan kind of helps, where if you and your opponent are both seeing no geckos or just like one each, then the Kuzan gives you more cards And if you've played 2 to 3 Kuzans throughout the game and your opponent's played 2 like Borsalinos, then you're of course going to be like up 2 to 3 extra cards, and that may be like the deciding factor versus you guys just playing a Gecko War.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you feel about the Borsalino? I mean, like everybody was everywhere on that card as well, but like Chris took 2. Did Nikki take any?
No.
No, so I think out of the 4 American players, I think one thing to note was just like Sammy, Nikki, and Kyle were playing like very similar lists with just like slightly different ratios. And then obviously Chris Pack was playing like the 4 Kuzan, 2 Borso list. I think Borso's good. It's mainly just get into BY and the mirror, and it's just like black decks in general, but I think I overall just like Kuzan more, and I don't think I really have the slots for Borso. I think I've kind of just accepted that, like, again, BY is just our worst matchup, and you can't really, like, you can tech for it as much as you can, but, as we saw with the guy in the finals, like, he's playing 3 Isho, Nightmare Luffy, and he got 2-0, so it's like, there's not really too much you can do in the matchup.
Oh, that makes sense. Let's see, other lists from Bonnie lists. I think the Bonnie lists were very stock. I don't think a single person had anything interesting. Some variation of this, where they took but some of them opted to not play the 8-cost Rosie. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it really makes too much of a difference as long as you draw the right top end at the right time, right? Yeah, what does this deck do?
I mean, what, like, Rosie helps with like what your Lucci matchup. That's like it, right?
Yeah, you just put 2 bodies, stick 1, try to snowball it from there.
I heard it's good also into blue, but that's the off chance that you run into blue in your run. But
it's just like, I don't even say it's like good. It's just that like it helps you against blue because like it gets you out of putting range while putting 2 bodies, right?
Right.
You know, argue if that's really
is that what
good
we're
at
playing
all.
it for?
Yeah, it's like one of the things that like helps the blue matchup is like it removes the cards out of your hand, but also like at least you get them on board so you can contest board with.
Yeah, it's always like probably the most tricky to remove for blue because they have to essentially hit it with a red rock or freeze it with boa.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like I don't think it's like a surprise that Bonnie placed like in the top 8. I think maybe you could argue that it could have potentially placed better if the Bonnie players were in a better bracket, because I think like all the Bonnie players were bound to like run to Lucci, either ran to Lucci right immediately or Lucci right after they won.
Yeah, it literally was like the first one the first one that lost played against Nikki in top 16, or like the best placing one, Nikki in top 16, and the other one played Nikki in top 8.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
like that. Where it's just like they just played like back-to-back Bonnies, and it's just like
like I mean, if we go off the statistics, like 30% win rate. Like there's no way you're winning a best of 3, right? Like
yeah, I was just say, especially against like people who are just like actually competent Luccis, because you could probably like steal some games against like bad Luccis, but I feel like if they're both competent players, like Lucci is just drastically favored.
Mm-hmm.
And in a best of 3, you can't even like prey on like the low roll.
Yeah, it definitely sucks for sure. I think in terms of
I'm shocked at how poorly Nami converted.
Nami?
Because like I think they had what, 2nd and 3rd? Oh, we had one that made top 8. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. One that made top 8.
I know they had 2. I know 2 of them made top, like 2nd and 3rd, and like both of them lost first round of top cut.
So there's 4 Namis in top cut, but they all 3 of them top 32.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the bracket for the other one?
For which one? The 5th place?
For the 5th place. What was his bracket for day 2?
Of course, I'm gonna open it like this. No, I think I have to open it like this. So who is he? 5th place?
That was the
let's see.
Gecko,
Moria.
Then is that structure Luffy? Which
this is BY. Moria BY, and then he played against Lucci. So he lost to Lucci in the best of 3.
Wow. Interesting.
What's the Lucci list?
Let's list.
Oh, the 3 Isho guy.
3 Isho.
Oh, okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yep.
3 Isho.
3 Isho, 3 Brookie.
Yeah, like if you don't see what you need to win that matchup, then like, you weren't meant to win anything that day.
Nightmare is probably also really rough, right? Because like they could just go
Yeah,
for
just
like a
jam.
crazy final swing with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get
but also like
crazy
deleting
swings.
Kaios on attack is also rough.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's just better Brook in that situation because like now I'm not like, oh, I have to play a 4K body on board to like snipe your stuff. I can just like smack every turn with this guy who's actually like a notable swing.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
Yeah,
pretty
that
good
makes
for
sense.
sure.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I
3 Brook
think-
just sounds so cursed.
yeah.
I think
then-
that's where I'm kind of at too. After seeing the American players list, is just like it seems everybody's kind of in agreement that like 3/6 cost Brook is definitely the way.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's just like the curve of like
useful.
going second and playing him on 2 on 4 holy cow on 6 is just like so good.
Yeah, removing a 5.
All right, so then I guess I figured we'd look at the winning list, BY. I mean, I think maybe the only thing that would be surprising if you weren't like heavily testing is the yellow Sabo. If you're a BY player, but like it makes sense, right? Especially like the yellow Sabo is very good in like this meta where like people are trying to like sneak in nightmares, Bonnie, like you're trying to win against Bonnie, right, and up your win rate there. Like it's just very powerful to snipe 5 costs while still getting tempo and making a body, right?
Yeah. I think the only thing that like people also might have been shocked by is like 9 2Ks or like 8 2Ks compared to like then standard like 9 or 10,
Hmm.
which is like a little bit greedier. But I think the trade off of having like the like extra consistency with like upping your searcher event is kind of worth it.
Yeah.
Because like his list probably runs so smoothly just because like even if you bot deck geckos at the start, you have so many ways to search your top 5. You can actually just get back to your geckos now like very easily throughout the game.
Hmm. No, yeah. I think the other aspect of like you don't really need 9 or 10 2Ks. Like I mean, Lucha players don't need 8 2Ks either, right? If you go by Nikki's deck list. But it's just like the meta is slow enough and like things are just getting removed off board and like nobody's like bomb rushing your dumbass with Mario or
Yeah.
something, right? Like that you can just kind of like 8 2K should be enough most of the time. Like it's rare that you'll need to search and like hold on to like 5 2Ks in hand before like you've comboed and potentially won the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like even then it's like you're like the matchups where they go aggro, they're swinging like a lot of 5s anyways, like Doki. And it's like you're always taking their 7, but then like everything else is normally a 5 anyways in the like early game, so it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
And Reiju's kind of the same way, and like that matchup's also just like 2 favored anyways, so you don't really care enough to play the extra 2K because it doesn't like skew the matchup one way or the other.
Yeah, makes sense. Just a little bit, really less greed and more optimization, right? Based on the meta game.
Just making sure you're consistent with your game plan over like playing for the extra like counter, I think is worth it more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to comment.
What's that good?
I was just gonna ask, like, how consistent is this like 1 of 10 cost Kuzan? Does that come up pretty often?
When you consider how many cards the deck actually draws, like especially because like you're trying like cycling through Sabos sometimes, or like you'll play like maybe even 2 Sabos before you even consider Awakening, you'll actually kind of see your 1-ofs like more often than you would think, which is kind of like disgusting.
And then Forzon 2 is also just drawing cards, so it's like you're drawing so many cards.
Like on average, I feel like by 10 Dawn, if you play all the draw, right, like you probably see like 16 cards, something like that, right? At least 2 from life, 5 in the opener, 1 or 2 Sabos gets you to somewhere around 9, and then you could draw from like Space Luffy, Kuzan, all the other stuff, right? You could see probably 15, 16 cards at 10 Dawn.
I guess that's fair.
And then like also just like you got to think like as soon as you garp, you see your top 5, and like you almost like you low key almost get to a point where you're Namiing your deck and you know what your bottom cards are, and you can honestly like play to that.
Yeah.
Like ordering your bottom 5 is actually like really relevant with this deck. And a lot of the time I have, I've had a lot of games where like you actually do bot deck the 10s on, but then like you'll come back to it and like you can play towards that.
That's crazy.
No, yeah. I think maybe just like a consideration is, especially when we compare to the other BY lists, like Tenzon ended up being in pretty much every BY list. I don't think I saw one without it that top to the at EU. So I guess like at least the card for sure has a place, right? At some number of copies, everybody was at different numbers, but never more than more than 2. I don't think I saw anyone play 3.
Yeah, and even then, it's like even just at 1, you still have to respect it. Is like the crazy thing because like BY draws so much. It's like if you don't respect the one on the top cut, you'll just get blown out by it.
Yeah. It's actually
And I'd
crazy
rather-
how game losing it is to get 10s on.
Yeah. It's also just like an auto win button against Bonnie if they ever don't pressure you. So they're kind
Yeah.
of like it's like just like a backup like get out of jail free card if you don't see your Kuzons a lot of the time.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm if you don't care to pull up his bracket, I'm curious to see what he played day 1. I think he dodged every Bonnie, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think he played 1. Played 1 Bonnie.
Okay. Yeah.
But,
he played
yeah,
one
in Top Cut he
Bonnie.
dodged all of them.
The Monkey D Luffy's, are those all the like
This
The one he
was-
lost to was Structure Luffy, the new one.
Yeah.
oh, so he
this one
played 3
lost to.
mirrors?
Yeah.
Would be
And then
Italian
these
mirrors.
2 are mirrors, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is a mirror.
Okay.
And round 2 is a mirror.
3 Ice Age. Holy.
Yeah, so he played 2 Black Luffy, 2 mirrors.
Gotcha. And then like yeah, everything else is like pretty standard. He played a Kata round 9, which is probably nice for him. Oh,
Mhm.
and the Kata ended up making day 2. I think that's the one who made day 2 as well.
hmm
Yeah.
Oh no, he's 8-2, so that means he did not make day 2.
Wasn't day
Oh,
2
he
top
missed
52?
Top Cut then.
Yeah, because
Right.
it was 10 rounds, so you gotta do.
He bubbled.
You gotta be 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have bubbled out. Rip.
So sad.
But you had to be
But-
X1 for this event to make day 2?
No, so like I'm
No.
saying you need to have like more than 10 games total to indicate that you were part of day 2, like on this final record here. So like the
Oh,
guys who
yeah,
were,
yeah.
like
Oh,
game
yeah, yeah.
3 made day 2.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious what our NATS will be top cut wise. Like we guys haven't heard anything, right? Whether we're top 32ing or not? Because like I thought EU would have been top 64 with almost 1K players, but they top 32'd.
Yeah.
But
I
we're
think
not
we're-
even gonna be half their size, maybe, right? So
Mhm.
like,
I think we're gonna be like right at 6, I'm pretty sure, with the LCQ. Because I think it was like currently there's like 500 something. Well, the last time I looked at it, there was like almost 580 people with like invites. But that's if
Mhm.
everyone goes. So it's like more likely than not, we're probably gonna have like a 5-12 for like Nats.
It's like a
So
9
like it's
rounder.
almost guaranteed. So it's just like guaranteed top 32, I think. I'd be
Mhm.
shocked if they did top 64, because that means you could have X3ers making it in, which seems kind of wild to me.
well, I don't think we'll top 64 if EU didn't top 64, right? I'm more concerned that are we going to top 16
Yeah.
instead of top 32 based on our size?
That's how
I
it's been in the
mean-
past. With 5-12, it's always been 16. So
But this
Yeah,
is a
which
little
would
bit more than
be-
512. I think we'll end up probably at around like somewhere around 600, 650 players.
I mean, still, regardless,
and then
right?
Gen
it
Con
is-
was like 705 or something like that, and we were at 16 for that as well, which was some.
Yeah, which is pretty bad.
Fucking
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal to top cut if we don't get at least 32, sure. But if we get 32, it's also like not easy by any means, but like a little bit more of a breeze to top cut, right?
Eh,
there's potentially 2 losses there available to you,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Just don't lose.
Yeah, just almost.
Potentially a 9 rounder. Like having a 2-loss buffer is pretty good.
hmm
Yeah, in a 9 round, it would be nice.
I can't wait to get 33rd. Oh, it's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Actually, Ryan will get 33rd. I'll get 34th.
Yeah. Bro, if you make Ryan 33rd again, I think he might off himself.
Me too, man.
That guy has missed top cut every single time he had a chance to, but it bubbled out.
It'll be his 33rd reason.
Yeah. Any other lists that you guys want to look at? Do you guys want to look at the catalyst?
There's 2.
Uh,
One was weird.
Yeah.
One was pretty normal.
Oh, you mean the list that
Oh,
played no 4-ups?
boy.
I love that list. That list is
That's
cool.
the one, baby.
Oh, this guy really just
I-
fucking
This guy's a maniac.
Pull up an event for me. What is that? What does that 2-cost event do?
Someone looks at your
plus
life.
4 reorder your life.
Gosh. Yeah.
Rearrange life, and then the trigger is add a life, and then stack one. Okay. Cool.
This guy is I don't know.
He's
I
Hey, I mean, that's just another.
I really could analyze this list if you wanted me to. I was just sitting there like the guy probably just didn't
I-
have 4 Ls of anything.
He
just put
he
together.
did. He has 2 4-ups,
I mean, Kata surely does not need any 4-ofs besides Big Mom.
Big Mom and my suitcase is all I need, honestly.
He said beige, too good. That's a 4.
Honestly, like, I see this list and it low-key, like, triggered me to the point where I just gave up looking at it because it's like, he actually just kind of like, it almost feels like there's just no rhyme or reason to, like, they're not playing for us besides it would be funny.
Yeah.
This is like Kevin where he said, 3 beige. I'm like, huh?
Oh, hey,
And then he got top 8. I don't know.
Hey, let Kevin do what he wants to do.
Hey, I mean, hey.
No, Kevin played 4 beige. He played 4 beige.
Go look at the picture. I remember looking at it like.
No. That guy's on the team? That's crazy.
He was like 3 pudding, 3 beige. And I'm like, there's no way, right? Like, this is crazy work. The other one the other one had the cat though. I like the cat.
I hate Nekomamushi.
Dude,
I hate that card so much.
He's the good. What do you mean?
You passed it.
Right there is 17, right?
Yeah, 17. German.
Yeah, which one?
Or what?
German.
Oh wait,
yeah,
they're all 17. My bad.
German flag. You think I know the flags? That's crazy.
You didn't play
bro.
FIFA, bro? What are you doing?
No.
That's fair.
I had fun playing games.
Yeah.
That looks pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, this looks pretty like expected, right?
Honestly,
I don't think the catalyst
he
is
lost.
spicy.
He lost because he was playing 4-ofs, honestly.
Yeah.
You're actually right.
I'm
If
sure
this guy
that
played more random 1-up triggers, he would have won.
Mm-hmm.
the 1-up crackers surely came out for the other guy.
It probably.
Honestly,
I bet it did
Probably
actually.
did.
Like we say this shit, but like it probably actually came up.
You probably played a Hiyori down and put the cracker there and said, "I'm winning next turn. Deal with it."
Was the other guy playing Onami?
3 of them. He said that's not a good
No,
enough
just
card
3.
for 4.
It's not good enough. But Flampe is good enough for 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so he's playing 3 for the cracker combo, of course, because he just saw it every game.
2 roulette. I mean, he does have
like-
like what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
We're
6,
actually-
7, 11 card. No, 13 cards to say, "Oops, I win still." Sorry, bozo. That was my
I think
last
he's
life.
playing, like, we're actually just playing like slots, where it's just like, oh, I'm gonna surprise party you one time by using Kata Leader, and then I'm gonna surprise party you 11 more times with my 1-ofs.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, 7 cost Rushanel probably came in too. Probably just catching somebody off guard. He's like, wait, this guy has a rush?
I think it
His
did on
game on
stream against
stream?
Lucci. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
played Ace and an L, and I was like, holy.
I would actually be so sad.
Oh,
It was in top
man.
code though, so it was okay.
I mean,
Loyalist?
still, just having that happen
Honest-
to me on stream.
Haha, Brooke.
We still won. It'll buff.
I guess you're the winner here, JP. I would not play Brook.
Yahoo!
But he told me he talked with Brook.
But there's no Kuzons.
Yeah, you know, it's simply wrong. Actually, no. I mean, this is like almost,
He's simply wrong.
this is like almost to a T what I played, except -1 Isho, +1 Rebecca. Yeah, it's just, I
Something
mean,
like that, yeah.
yeah, it's a good list. It's.
I just don't know how this deck is good now. I just don't see it.
I agree. I'm not playing it for a reason.
I mean, it's good against the decks that don't cheat. So
True.
you know, let's play some honest One Piece.
Honest
Like-
One Piece. Bring Whitebeard back.
We're calling this honest? He plays an A-Drop Moria, therefore not honest.
True.
It's a pretty honest Moria, is all I'm saying.
No, anything that plays a drum more is not honest. That
Yeah,
card
I
needs
don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
We should all be playing
Noah's?
Boa. We should all just play Boa Mirrors, honestly.
Yeah.
Blue can't come back unless 8-drop Moria is banned.
Shut up.
No, it
Dofi's
comes back
top
at
tier.
8.5. Yeah, Dofi's like.
All right,
2-1.
look. I want Blue as a whole to come back, not
Oh,
just
no,
one.
no,
I
no.
won't.
You're not getting that, buddy.
listen,
Sorry.
listen,
Yeah, I'm
listen,
not.
listen. If Green can't come back, Blue can't come back. Okay.
What do you
Yeah.
mean Green is bad?
Yeah,
Green's
Bonnie's pretty
good.
good.
Green has
next
Hawkins.
Also,
my
Green at
God.
OP9 is like top 3, possibly, as of now.
Yeah. Green
It's
has
Bonnie.
Hawkins.
It is only Bonnie. Again, this guy is
Is Bonnie
complaining about.
blue?
He's saying like as if the entire green color came back. It's only Bonnie. Same thing. It's only Dofi.
But you
What do
guys
you
have a
want to
card
come
that
back?
can actually play against black. We have
I
Jim.
don't care. I don't care. Why not? Why does someone who cares? Okay.
All right.
I am.
I'll wind up next ban
Like
list.
you
Banning
hold on to your gravity blade and cry over it.
banning everything that's not blue.
My God. An Ellis.
Bring your
Ready
card.
talk.
2-0 cost is nuts, right? Like that's crazy.
No, he just built the.
I think that's not
Ah.
crazy.
Yeah,
Bro,
he's built
it's
it.
so
I mean, I don't
good.
know. It's not. It's really not even that many.
I think
bricks.
11. I think
No, I
11
don't even
poppers
care
is
about the
actually kind of
bricks.
crazy to me. It's just the trigger.
Yeah.
He's got no 7 NL, so
Also crazy.
I don't like this list is like what like this list just seems like so like I don't know. Like
Little-
11 Popper seems like very overkill. And like also it's just like I just don't see how your matchups for is like good into like Lucci with like this build.
Yeah, no Rochinelle. It was kind of interesting. I'm very curious what this guy's matchups were.
I wonder what the Thunderbolt Sabo is mostly for in now. Like, what are we?
BY.
BY.
Fist
Okay.
Luffy.
Pop nightmares probably as well because
Yeah.
you don't have a good way to pop nightmares. So this guy
Wait.
lost to starter deck Luffy. What do you play?
That makes sense. His starter Luffy matchup's probably awful.
Yeah.
Lost to Nami, of
Mystic
course.
Robin,
Lost to
it's
Reiju.
kinda-
Oh my god, he's the guy that beat the Foxy player. Rip.
Beat Foxy. I guess that makes sense.
That's the X3 Foxy right there. That's the goat.
Beat a Lucci that went 5-5.
Big.
He only played one Lucci. Like that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they lost to starter Luffy, so like I don't think his
Bro,
black matchup was
that
actually that
Lucci
good.
crashed out. He was 5-1 and went to
Yeah,
5-5.
he's spiraled.
You know,
No,
it's
he
gonna
was
happen
better
to
than
it has to
that.
happen to
was,
someone.
That was a zero
He was
cost
sixth
event.
one.
He
was
spiraled.
sixth one, bro. He got hit by the 1 of 0 drop event. And he went, nah, it's done.
Oh my god. All right, yeah, I don't think there's any other interesting lists. So let's kind of fix up the tier list from here. So let's remove this tier. This tier's useless.
No,
Wait.
my defense.
Wait,
my
depends.
defense.
I think. Wait. I think it's worth mentioning. Hervoye went X3 with Rebecca. He tried to cook. I think it has potential.
I'm just saying the guy who got
I'm
second
just
at
saying,
Worlds went X3.
That's
I
him.
don't think so. Like,
yeah.
That's him. I'm sure if he had better matchups, he wouldn't have made day 2.
He's him. He's him.
no, like
Hervoye
he is
is-
him and he went X3 is what I'm getting at here.
I mean, I don't know what his matchups were, but he probably just had a bad matchup day. Who knows? He's the GOAT, though.
Okay, so let's see. Let's start here. Actually, where'd body? Oh my lord, where'd body and BY go? There we go. And this guy. All right, me personally, I would never. I'm still not putting this deck S tier personally.
No,
This is
It's like top of A.
it's like an A tier deck to me.
Yeah.
What is it?
The
Crazy
Star
Mike.
Luffy.
You're not a believer? No, I think it's fair.
I don't believe
No,
it, but I'm not gonna hold you, man. Bonnie
I'm
had a
gonna say
negative
it.
win rate. I don't know if we can put that in S. S for
I think
rep.
it's still
Yeah,
I think
mean,
it's
S for
still gonna
conversion
be
for
S.
sure. I mean, if we go just based
I-
off conversion, this was S, right? But
Number one.
That's the best deck in the format if we're going off conversion.
yeah,
I'm not
That's,
on the
it's
conversion.
true.
yeah. I think
I think Nami's bottom of S or top of A. I
Sure.
think that deck low key kind of underperformed.
bottom S, top of A. Yeah, kind of. I seen.
I mean, like the deck is already a
Okay.
niche deck, but like I don't know. Like I feel like we expected a lot more Nami. Like we put it as second place, like in the format, and it definitely underperformed compared to our expectations.
Yeah, I guess so. If you look at it that way, but like also, I think it kind of did exactly what it. To me, it did exactly what I thought it would do, right? Like like I feel like it was probably like if he didn't run into the Lucci that's kind of teched out to like beat Nami at that point. I mean, it's not specifically teched out to beat Nami, right? But like the tech happens to be very good against Nami, where like he has the extra 8 drops and 3 brooks. It's like maybe that guy's in finals instead, right? I feel like it kind of did exactly what it was supposed to do. I feel like it's hard to say that it would be A tier. I think it's just more.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 56 copies too. Like that's not a lot, and it still had 4 go in. Like that's the second best conversion rate of the bunch.
Yeah,
So, I
that's
mean-
actually nuts.
So I don't know. Probably
Hmm.
a decent. I think it's probably fine in S.
Yeah, I think to me, just, like I was kind of on the fence on it, but like definitively after E and Nets, to me, BI is the best deck in the format. Like that deck, I don't know, it's disgusting.
I think Lucci's still best deck if we're going off representation, but I think my biggest thing is like we can't say Luffy's best deck just because like if Bonnie goes up in rep, like BY just goes so far down in conversion rate, like on
I think
paper.
Yeah, but I also like I don't know, just based off the stats where like Bonnie didn't even have like a 70% win rate against BY. I think that like that's just like okay, I have a bad matchup and we move on with our day, right? Like it's not even abysmal. Like what's the most abysmal matchup left?
Yeah.
Delphi? Like that matchup is like actually abysmal. But like,
I don't mind Duffy. I'm gonna be honest. Really?
either-
I don't mind that matchup.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is like
If you could get
in day one of ENATS, there was a total of 40 games of Dofi versus BY played. Like, it's not even a real matchup if we're just being like if we're just going off the numbers.
yeah, I mean, if we're going off like numbers, yeah, like anything that isn't in exactly S tier or Black Luffy, like you're just not seeing probably,
Yeah.
like on average. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
I
like,
mean,
to
it's probably
me,
it's probably always just Lucci or BY, like obviously.
yeah. Like, yeah, sure. Like, we
But I-
can definitely go back and forth about which of these two is the best deck in the format, right? But like,
Yeah, but it's one of those two, no matter what. Like yeah,
yeah,
like
one of
it,
these two is no matter.
like those two are just by far the best decks.
Mm-hmm. I think to me, like the most contentious S tier is definitely like Bonnie. Like I think you can argue whether this was actually ended up being an S tier deck. Like,
Honestly,
I'm
I
pretty
could
sure
see a
on.
world.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I could see a world where you just throw Nami and Bonnie in an A tier, and the only S tier decks are literally BY and Lucci. Like honestly,
Yeah, I can.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can see that.
I think Bonnie just goes like top of S probably or top of A. I think it is like better than Nami just slightly.
Yeah, because like I think
And then,
like,
like, Yeah.
my big problem also like with potentially leaving Bonnie S tier is like I'm pretty sure I think a lot of people will just net deck the same deck, right? Of starter Luffy, and I think like the straw hat version of the deck is probably significantly worse for Bonnie than the Navy version. So like it just adds like another bad matchup.
Oh yeah. No, I think for sure like Black Luffy is probably like either under Nami or like right above Nami, like for NA.
Yeah,
Like I don't even think Dovey and Gat are in contention at this point for even being A tier. Honestly, like
It's
I don't think if you're playing like. Honestly, if you're not playing like any of those 5 decks, or like maybe Reiju, because Reiju also didn't like convert like super awful, but it wasn't great by any means.
yeah.
Like I
think
think this is like power scaling wise, like these are like your 5 really.
Yeah, like I'm hard pressed to put Reiji anywhere up here for being the third most played deck, fourth most played deck, and converting like that. Like that was actually
It
incredible.
converted poorly.
It converted poorly, and its win rates in day one against every single meta deck, like top 5 deck, was really, really bad, except versus Nami.
I think the problem is just your BY matchup is too bad as well, and like if you play against a competent BY, like it just seems cooked.
Yeah, I think like the other thing is I think which like really shows like the deck was not nearly as strong as it should have been, or like people hoped it was that its matchup versus Moria in that day one they went 50% win rate. And, like every Raichu versus every Moria went 50% win rate, which I think is incredible. Like that deck should it really should be like a 6-4 easily, but I guess the deck's just not good enough or the pilots aren't good enough.
I still think Raiju's bottom of A tier.
Think so?
When the deck runs, it runs.
It's just like what decks are you beating here?
I don't know, man. Like out of top 5, it just seems like your matchup for it is too rough. And then I think Black Luffy's probably just another bad matchup, right?
Yeah, you're a 6 guy.
I think
funny.
a lot. I think it has like a very bad win rate into.
It has a bad
based
win
on
rate
that.
into Black Luffy, but I still think it's bottom of A just because the deck has the ability to just do some crazy things. It's obviously not the most consistent, but you know when the deck runs, I think it just does some pretty crazy stuff that you can't really like. Sometimes you can't really control that.
No, yeah, I mean for sure it does crazy stuff, right? But I mean just like if we're just talking about like if you're gonna take a deck, right? Would you really consider Reiju on the same tier as this deck? These like 4 right here. Like I'm having a hard time putting it in the same tier right here, right? When it literally loses to 4 out of these 5 decks.
I would say something in the middle because I wouldn't put it in the same tier as the 4 decks below it right there.
Yeah,
can we give it 8.5?
We can get a B plus for sure.
B+.
Nah, I want 8.5, bro.
Yeah, we can get an 8.5 right
B
here.
plus right there. Not good enough.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah. Because Reiju's like supposed to high roll, right? Like, but Reiju's high roll is like just nowhere even close to the realm of like the high roll of like Lucci to put.
So we can put Reiju and Kata in that tier. Yeah, like the high roll tier essentially.
Like this? Yeah, I like this better. I feel like this is like really representative of how it panned out at UNATS, and honestly, like I'd be hard pressed to move Moria or Enel up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very hard pressed to move them up.
Yeah, because Enel like preys upon like weaker players, like especially for NA Nats where everyone there had to get an invite of some sort. I don't know, just kind of cooked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think maybe you can argue Dofi should be up here, but like,
I don't think so, especially just because like it struggles with any deck that plays 8-drop Moria. So
I mean, does it lose to the starter Luffy deck also? I actually didn't even
I haven't
think
tested
about
that.
that. Does it beat this deck?
I don't think it's terrible, just because like making your leader a 6K is not really like too relevant, I guess, for Dofi. But I mean, just any deck that plays 8-drop Moria is like just a pain.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just dropping Kuzan on curve and then having Sanji and then just saying Moria. I don't know. It's just kind of cooked. Like, if
Yeah, like a
you-
Kuzan Rook that sticks.
Yeah, like if you can't even Gravity. Well, you can Gravity Blade and then just have like a Jinbei on board, and then I say, okay, Gecko, Rebecca, Brooke, go away. Game started over, and I have a full board. Whatever.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it to cover. Any last contentions to this, or anything else you guys want to look at for EU Nats?
Do we think Verona's B tier?
No.
Or do we think it even converted well enough to even be in it on the
It
tier
didn't-
list?
I
at
mean, it
this
didn't
point?
convert.
It didn't
It didn't convert at all.
Let's start there. It didn't convert.
Actually, can we look at Verona's best record real quick? I'm actually just curious.
Yeah. How
I
do
think
go? Metagame?
just to give
Yeah,
hope
you
out
got a
there,
metagame, and
7-3.
Okay.
he got 9.
yeah,
Can we see his matchups?
This way.
Oh, he
to-
lost round 9.
lost
Rip.
to- was
Oh, he
that
lost to
Star?
the starter Luffy. Rip.
That makes
Twice?
sense.
Yeah,
they
both,
can't
he
rest
lost to
anything.
both starter Luffy's.
Yeah, this guy definitely just got so unlucky. He ran into the starter Luffy and he's like, "What the fuck does this do?"
Yeah.
that honestly probably is an awful matchup because
It's
Ryuman
horrible.
becomes like low key awful.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, this matchup just sounds hooked because of, like all of your ranges are just like destroyed.
You need
Yeah.
Belmare,
Yo,
and then they say,
Belmare.
I'm gonna brook that thing. Get it out of my face. All right, let's go.
You can't even kill Gecko anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually kind of cooked.
Nah.
No, yeah.
Dude, White Sage is not cutting it in that matchup. That sounds so depressing. What did the other
Yeah.
guys play against?
That's pretty
Oh,
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Duffy actually had not that bad as representation, but still like kind of like nothing numbers and like a pool of 1K players.
I just want to point out 708 to 532 for your win loss is just so crazy to me.
That's nuts.
Yeah. For
I mean,
Raul
like,
Lucci.
Like
Yeah,
it had the second
first
high,
blood.
it had the second highest win rate besides literally only the Black Luffy deck.
Yeah.
Hey, Foxy's
How did
looking pretty
Foxy
good.
have Foxy had a 55% with 2 people?
That's crazy, bro.
Yes, we overlooked Foxy.
Wait, did the one Foxy just carry the entire Foxy category?
It's the one guy
Yes,
who
sir. Yes, sir.
he has a deck profile with the Orange Samurai. I was just like, wow, this guy's just a Chad.
Where's Luffy in the win rate? Actually,
Which one?
Which one?
What do you mean?
BY?
BY. I was BY over here.
Yeah.
13.
Right there.
It's not bad.
50%.
But I think that's also skewed just because of how hard the deck is, truly.
Yeah. You can
Kind
just
of,
lose
yeah.
to like just one mistake, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm done. I guess I just lose
Yep.
now.
I
Yeah.
implode now.
Oh,
No.
my leader's a vanilla. Oops.
So yeah, I guess maybe last final thoughts. What do you think? Do you think NA is gonna have like the same top 5 most played decks? I think there's gonna be less Bonnies, personally.
I think it's gonna be the opposite. I think more people are hopping on Bonnie because they don't have time to learn BY, and they're like, well, if I can't learn BY, I'm gonna spite BY.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's kind of where I was
They're
at.
I think less Reiju as well.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, I think that
I'm-
was very over. I was shocked by 95. Like, I doubt we'll hit 50. I doubt.
Yeah, I mean we definitely won't, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's
if we
half
had
the
95 players, that's a fifth of the room. That's crazy. Like, but like I think into like yeah, I'd be surprised if we have nearly as like many Reijus like proportionally like was this so 10%
Yeah.
share? I'd be surprised if we had 10%. Like I don't know. I feel like you have to be so dedicated to playing Reiju at that point to play it after the results it put up this weekend.
I would
After testing
rate
it
you,
as well. Like,
Yeah, you just have to be a Reiju diehard. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like the Reiju rep will be like maybe slightly above Dofi. We can kind of just put like, I would say Dofi and Reiju should see somewhat around the same representation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You think
Moria.
that much Dofi?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Dofi stands out there. I
Blue
mean,
Cobras, huh?
I'm a blue Cobra myself. I've already put in the time, but I realize that it's just not worth bringing to Nats. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are like me who we just want to coat blue, and this is the best deck to do it. So you can high roll your way there if you really want to.
I'm just saying, I tried to save you time and tell you the deck was bad from the get go.
I did waste 3 weeks.
Honestly, I think the LCQ blue top 16ers are gonna skew our results.
Let's go! Let's go!
I'm actually curious what the
LCQ.
LCQ ends up. If it's like a different meta game, or if it's like the exact same.
Dude, we're gonna see
I'm
like
like so
yellow
curious,
Yamato
honestly.
top 16.
LCQ is the lane of Gecko
Hey,
Moria, I promise you.
Honestly, yeah.
If half of that top 16
Nah,
is Gecko
it's
Moria, it
Foxy.
was bound to be.
Foxy. The guy who barely didn't make day 2 with Foxy at EU, he's gonna fly to the LCQ here just so he can try.
Dude, we're so
Honestly,
bad.
good on him.
Well, all right. So I guess that's pretty much our wrap up for UNATS, right? Like, I guess the only thing is, do you guys want to talk about what we're doing for NANATS? We don't have to share lists or anything. Yeah,
I'm playing BY, but I've been on BY since
little
I don't know
BY
how long
diehard.
ago.
Yeah, since God knows when, dude. Richie?
I'm going to be playing Lucci.
Yeah.
I think it's just statistically right now probably the best deck to bring. I just have reps on it, and then I put 3 weeks into blue that I can't get back. Realize that we're not coping anymore. I'm trying to win Nats this time, so.
I don't know, Rod. I really tried to help you. You really should have jumped that.
I had to try.
sooner than
I
3
really
weeks.
had to. I had to give it my best effort, and then I was like, all right, we can put it away.
I really can't believe it took
I
you
gave
3
it my
weeks.
best effort as in literally one night. Literally one night.
You say one night, but he was talking about it for 3 weeks.
I was down bad, dude.
Yeah, I
was
know.
so-
I played one night, I lost at Luffy TV playing Gecko twice, and I was like, no, this deck sucks, I'm out.
I remember
Dude,
one.
if you bring the deck, you can run it back with him at the Airbnb.
Good.
There
I
was
don't even have
one
the deck built
distinct
in
night.
person.
V hit me with like a 6-0, I think, and I was like, all right, we're putting this deck away.
Yeah. What about you, JP? You lock it in? You locked in?
We gonna spin the wheel on the podcast?
Are we in the
let's
kitchen
spin the
again?
wheel, spin the wheel, why
Spin the
not?
wheel. Let's spin the
the wheel.
wheel.
Are
I
you
can't believe you're not
picking- are you
decided yet.
picking one
We're
of
2
these?
days. We're 2 days from flying out.
Ah,
You're decided.
ooh. You know what?
I'm gonna be at JP's house tomorrow night, and we're gonna play games, and he's gonna swap decks.
Are you going over tomorrow night? That's funny.
Huh?
You're
I
going over
did
tomorrow
hear.
night?
Yeah,
I
his
did
house
hear
is
that
like 3
Chris
hours
Pax.
away.
What to say,
All
Richie?
right.
Oh, I heard. I was just gonna say that I heard the Chris Pack. He switched decks like literally the morning of UNATS. He was like locked in BY, and then he was just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna. You know what? I feel like playing Lucci." And then hey, meet day 2. So like,
What are we doing, JP? Random number generating?
No, you guys get a
Yeah,
wheel. We're
spin
gonna
the
get a
wheel,
wheel.
dude.
Come
We're
on.
making a
Okay,
wheel.
Come on.
Spin wheel. Okay, we'll do it on the podcast.
Big,
but what gets to go in the wheel?
so we're gonna have.
You gotta
Oh boy.
Oh,
you gotta
wait.
hit customize. You gotta hit customize.
All right, I am playing.
Oh shit.
It's just appearance.
Appearance?
Allie. All right.
Appearance?
Yeah. I have
No,
no
we
idea,
need-
bro.
We need a different one.
All right, move Allie.
Pick or wheel. Oh, hold on. There we go. All right, what are we doing?
BY.
BY Luffy,
Yeah. Lucci.
Lucy.
Blaffy Duck.
Black
Lappy Duck.
Bluff.
That
it?
Katakuri.
Kata? Oh, you really want to put Kata on the list? I'll give
Bro,
you a chance.
if I win the Kata wheel, yeah, I'm gonna play Kata. Oh,
Okay.
that's on my
All right,
side.
fuck you. All right,
Okay.
JP's fate is on this wheel. Hold on. All right, before we do JP, because mine's not very interesting. I'm playing BY. All right,
Oh, so we
we're
can
spinning for
make a wheel
JP.
for me.
3
Here we
Gecko
go.
Moria decks or
How
one
about
Iron.
JP?
Oh,
God, I was
Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy fucking!
Oh,
That's what I was gonna
Black
play.
Luffy.
That's what I was gonna play anyway. So that works out. See,
Yeah, you need to put
that
the
was
championship
confirmed.
Kuzans to use.
Oh,
You're gonna
Yeah,
have
that
to
was
get
a sign.
training camp with the Italians.
That was a sign from God, honestly.
Yeah, actually, the
Yep, there it is.
yeah. In terms of the rest of the team, I think we have Ryan and Kevin playing BY as well, and Josh is playing B Luffy. Is he locked?
I
Dude, me
I-
and Josh are
who
locked,
knows?
baby.
I honestly don't know, but I think he's locked B-Loof. It
Let's
seems like he just
go.
dished Bonnie, and he was just like, well, this deck looks like fun. I want to play Gecko Moria.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gekamori
Yeah.
and Kuzan, just a fun
Pretty good.
combination.
Pretty
You
good
know
card.
Gavin's locked playing Lucci.
Yeah, I think so. He doesn't have the T-Bone ults, so he said he has to play Lucci. Verbatim.
You know what? That's valid.
That's
He's
valid.
gonna swap the RP Luffy the night before. I'm calling it.
Honestly, you know what? I'm gonna make sure he leaves that deck the fuck home.
Dude, no, like you don't want to bring it for side events, you know.
No. I'm
No.
gonna check his bag whenever we're on the way to TSA. I'm gonna check his bag, and if it's in there, I'm throwing it and giving it to TSA.
Dude, if it's in there, I'm yelling
Oh.
bomb.
No, but he's got to play RP Luffy because he's got the fucking top 64 kids in there.
You got the
He
kids.
does. He does.
And a playset of top 64 kids.
You gotta let him get some use out of it, you know.
He will in
Yeah.
OPO9. He will in OPO9.
They already
Not
got their
really.
use. They're in
If
the
it's
jar.
just a-
They've already got the use.
Oh my god.
If I'm playing
Right.
against an RP Luffy who's just got regular alts, I'm just like, all right, cool. But if he's got like top 64 kids, I'll be like, all right, this guy's low key cooking, right?
Nah, low key, I'd be terrified if an RP Luffy sits down across from me, min rarity, no sleeve on their leader. I'm terrified, honestly.
Dude, I can't. Dude, I'm rolling up to NAS with my in and out bag. My deck box is going inside my in and out bag.
Oh boy, with those greasy
No,
fries.
I'm pulling
Yes,
up with
sir.
the alt art Luffy leader, no sleeve.
Holy bro. I
I
think you
think-
have to sleeve it. You have to sleeve your leader.
Nuh-uh.
It's in the rules.
Wait, you have to sleeve
Bro.
your leader?
Yes.
I played a whole. Hold up. Maybe I can.
I
find
played
it.
a top cut with no sleeved leader.
What the?
I played a
These
whole
kids are so cute,
tournament.
Richie. They weren't gonna say anything.
I played a whole tournament with my keyed
Become-
Lucci leader, where I literally stabbed a hole through the leader, and they let me play with it for the whole day.
Let's fucking go.
I like distinctly remember because I was watching like my Top Cut game and Jonas was commentating with Eggman and he was just like, "Oh, I noticed this guy is like his deck is fully alted, but he has a sleeveless base leader." And I was like, "Yep."
That's it. All right, let's call it here. Nothing else to talk about. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it. Goodbye.